Lesson 9-4, Compositions of Transformations. You are going to be doing two different things to each image. So I suggest having two different colored pens, colored pencils, highlighters, markers, anything so that we can tell which image is which. So on example 1, let's start by plotting BGTS. So 4, here's point B at -3, 4. G is at -1, 3, T -1, 1, and S at -4, 2. You get this quadrilateral here. And I'm going to take my first color, I'm going to use green, and I'm going to do what it says to do first. Everything has to be in the order that it is given to you, or your image will not appear the way it is supposed to. It says to translate along vector 5, 0. Now remember, vector 5, 0 means to go 5 units to the right on the x-axis and 0 units up along the y. So if I start with point B and I go 5 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that puts B over here in the first quadrant. Let's do that to every single vertex and label them on your graph so that we know where they are. Okay, so here is the first transformation, and then it says to reflect in the x-axis. So this is my mirror right here, the x-axis, and I'm going to take this image that I just drew and flip it over. So point T is 1 unit above, so now it's going to be 1 unit below, and I'm going to label it T double prime. Okay, so let's do that to every vertex on our little shape, and let's connect them. And here is my final image in pink. So that's what I'm going to be doing this lesson, is doing two things. Let's look at example 2. Let's go ahead and plot our triangle, labeling our vertices. There's my original image, and it says to first translate along -1, 5. So each vertex here is going to go -1 unit to the left and then up 5 units. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Think about a vector as giving directions. You're going 1 unit to the left, 5 units up. Okay, there's my first translation. And then it says to rotate 180 degrees about the origin. That's this point right here in the middle. So remember, if you're rotating it, right now my shape is in the first quadrant. If I rotate it 180 degrees, it's going to be down here in the third quadrant. So x, y, what happens to them is they become negative, both of them. So right now, V prime is at the point 2, 1. So V prime, V double prime is going to be -2, -1. Let's look at T prime, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So T double prime is going to be -1, -4. And U, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. So it's going to be -4, -3. And you can see it's like I took this triangle and just swung it around down to here. So here is my final image after both of those reflections. All right, let's turn it over and do number 3. Number 3, you will need a ruler for, and I also forgot to label these. So after you label them, you are going to get a ruler and you're going to measure the distance. Okay, use inches, measure the distance between E and line P. You'll find that it is about 1/4 of an inch long. So if I flip it over, you need to measure, this will be 1/4 of an inch long. F to line P is about 11/16 of an inch. So F, when it's flipped over, is also still going to be 11/16 of an inch long. Do the same with point H and point G. Only please use a ruler. Miss H forgot her ruler. Okay. Now it says to reflect it again over point Q or line Q, so I need to measure the distance between F prime and line Q. And you should see it's also about 1/4 of an inch. So when I flip it down, it's going to be 1/4 of an inch down here, and we're going to label it F double prime. And you're going to do the same thing with E, and it should be about 11/16 of an inch long. Measure it going down. Same thing with H. And same thing with G. Okay, so you want to, it's asking you to describe it as a single transformation. In other words, what could I do to this original shape to get it to come down here? So think about this. It's facing the same way, so it is a translation. And how far is it from our original vertex E to our final vertex E down here? It went down about 1 7/8 inches. Okay? Now tomorrow in class, we're going to be talking more about these things, especially intersecting lines. Make sure you have your protractor for tomorrow and your ruler.